Hey, I'm Robert Pearson. This is Follow the Leader, and doing another morning musings, where thinking about a moderately profound topic as I drive to work. And that moderately profound topic this morning is Nathaniel Slattery. And I'm going to call this one Flattery for Slattery, because, first caveat, I only know him through the magic rectangle that is the internets. And that creates some distortion of things. So, with that, we've sent some group me messages back and forth, but that's about it. From all that I've seen, though, all of my phrasings, all of my comments and opinions are based on Black Mirror land. So, if it turns out he actually has kidnapped Donnie, I take all of this back. That said, I want to offer official congratulations for his betrothal to what can only be surmised as a delightful young woman. It looks to be fantastic. I will recommend Emerson Eggerich's Love and Respect series because it will aid in inevitable miscommunication between men and women. It uses, the guy's got a psychology degree and stuff, but he was also a pastor and uses Ephesians chapter 5 as the spinal column for the whole articulation of how men and women think differently and relate to one another, and how that can create cycles of arguing for no reason. And then he gives you vocabulary to work around those miscommunications and to recognize them and clearly identify them between each other. So, good stuff. I have learned what I would consider to be a great deal from Nathaniel Slattery's videos and from the way he carries himself on the interwebs here. Which is saying something, because I've grown up in the church and I've heard so much Bible and just zillions of sermons. And if I learn a slightly interesting tidbit, that'll happen about once every 35 sermons. I learn a slightly interesting tidbit. The rest of the time is just like, yeah, I've heard this before. Change the radio station. Or, oh, he's using this passage. He's probably going to pull up that verse. Oh, he pulled up that verse. Okay. Yeah, I'm good for now. Nathaniel Slattery has such a different way of viewing the Bible. It's magnificent. Mainly because he's just read it a bunch, and he's a very intelligent man who's got a lot of really loud opinions. It's delightful. This generation needs more of that. Just all of that. So, I wanted to share a couple of things that I have learned from him that I found to be very enlightening and had not heard before, seen before in my time as a Christian. Firstly, the view that, to simply surmise it, sterile sex is a sin. Understanding that as a Christian, I'm no longer affected by the judgment of sin because Christ covers all my sins. So I'm good. However, as a human who desires to please God, it would behoove me to seek out areas in my life where I may be sinning and not realize it, and try and minimize those. But not in a legalistic or anxiety-filled way, just going, oh hey, as I realize things, go, I learned something new. I need to change how I do X, Y, Z. And this is one of those things that I had a clear articulation of. I'd always in my gut known that children are a good thing, and it makes me sick to my stomach to hear people talk about children as a burden when the Bible says they're a blessing. And there are a lot of people that have said welcome to church in a way that referenced how many kids were following me, and it made it very hard not to punch them in the throat. And it makes it very difficult to enjoy the church service after you're greeted in that way, and have to suppress a desire to inflict violence on someone for treating your children as a burden. But to expand the idea to the fact that the simple potential for life is sacred to God. The laws in Leviticus and Deuteronomy and Exodus are presented for Israel that they would be blessed and live well. And they reflect the character and nature of God because He's the one who gave the laws. That said, we're no longer bound by them in a legalistic way to earn our salvation. We are free in Christ. But to quote Paul in another place, I don't remember the reference for this one, all things are lawful, not all things edify. There are things that are not useful for the building up of the church or the building up of yourself towards sanctification. And as I just realized I outed his identity. I'm sorry. Nathaniel Slattery Bear, to use his pseudonym, his elaborately crafted pseudonym. Nathaniel Slattery Bear pointed out, going through Leviticus, that the ceremonial cleanliness rites for a man spilling a seed and for a woman's period are identical to that of a dead body. If you touch a dead body, it's the identical cleansing ceremony, ceremonial cleansing process after those three events, implying they have something in common, implying that a dead human is the same as a human that could have been made and wasn't, which creates some gravity to sterile sex. Intentionally sterile sex. It's one thing if someone is barren. It is quite another if you are intentionally creating those circumstances. And all my years of reading the Bible and Bible commentaries and Bible college, never had that pointed out or observed that made that connection myself. And the moment he said it, it rang true. I started thinking, well, no, but no. Well, yeah, but no. Checks out. All of it. If you follow the rabbit trail, it leads to two other places, which are basically a chapter away from each other, and they're identical. So there should be a good deal of gravity as you approach that. The other main thing that I am learning and having reinforced is the arrogance and I'm at the place now I can do this. The arrogance and the confidence with which he is Christian. He's just a Christian. He's being a Christian as loud as possible, which is exactly the way you're supposed to do it. Modern Protestantism, evangelicalism, whatever, isms, Christianism has become very tame and soft and quiet. And you get the implication from the apostles that they were anything but. Why else are they constantly people trying to put them in jail or murder them if they just sit quietly inside of their churches and acquiesce to the whims of the world? And that, I've recently connected this in my mind to the Watchman on the Wall. That was the whole point of Ezekiel's Watchman on the Wall, is that he's calling out sin. He's not warning that judgment of the Lord is coming. Well, like, the way you warn judgment of the Lord is coming is you say, hey, sodomites, stop sodomizing each other, or the hammer's coming down. And doing that in the world, calling out sin, that's not judging somebody. You're simply announcing sodomy is a sin. And you only point to someone and say, you're a sinner, in so much as you know that they're a human being, and that all human beings sin. For all have fallen short. So, just the arrogance and the pride is very fitting, as Paul said, I boast in nothing save Christ. And the confidence with which he says Christianity is the best religion, it's the only one that makes any sense. All of the other religions are stupid. It's fascinating because it's absolutely true. And for some reason you're not allowed to say it without just making everybody feel awkward. And so I resolve to speak that way as often as possible now myself. Because it's correct. It is 100% true. And so why are you not allowed to say things that are true as loud as possible? Why indeed? Half-truth is a whole lie. And no truth is a lie. So if you sit quietly, there's no truth coming out of you. So you may as well be lying at some time, on some level. And as the watchman in Ezekiel is, you have the guilt of their blood on your hands when you have not warned them of the wrath to come. So you have to say that sodomy is a sin. They have to know there's a reckoning coming. You have to warn them that Christ is the only way. You have to throw out life preservers, as many as possible. It's critical. The other thing is that Christianity is not for children, which is a really catchy rhetorical way to phrase it. That doesn't mean that your Sunday school is a waste. That doesn't mean that it's a sin to teach children the Bible. You're supposed to teach your children. In Deuteronomy, right? I'm sure, I don't remember, it's been a little while. But when he read them, I don't know if he slid past it or if he stopped to talk for a second. Both in chapter 6 and again in chapter 8, you were to teach your children. When you stand up, when you lie down, when you walk in the way, you're supposed to teach your children the things of God, the law of God. Don't be a sodomite. They need to know early. And so it's important. It's important to understand that it's critical for your children to fear God and to, as they mature into adulthood, when they can understand what is going on, that Christianity is the only true way. I don't think 5-year-olds praying Jesus into their heart is the proper way to bring children into the church. That's the way I was brought in, and I stayed the faith, and I went off to Bible college, but learning more at Bible college, I felt like I needed to be saved again, not from a matter of legalism, but from a matter of now, as a man, understanding what's at stake and what I'm committing to. This is me. I commit to this now. I don't know theologically, but yeah, I received baptism again as a thinking grown man, as an appeal to God for a clean conscience and a commitment to like a vow renewal, I guess. Once again, theologically, I haven't thought about the ramifications. It's irrelevant. But I think it's important that when you become a Christian, it needs to be a moment in your adulthood when you can understand this is evil in the world. This is how you combat evil. This is how you are saved from the evil team, from the enemy team, and are on the winning team now. And moving forward in that. So that Christianity is not for children in as much as it's important on Sunday in the church somehow to call out sodomy, to call out fornication, to call out the hard, uncomfortable sins of the world. And church should be a place to talk about that. The Bible is a place to talk about that. And Christianity's lost that rugged, manly edge that, by the grace of God, Nathaniel Slattery has found and is sharing amply. So, thanks for all that you're doing. Please continue. And I'm going to keep watching as I get time. And I pray God blesses you with a giant family. May your wife be a fruitful vine. But I don't know if you're going to beat me. We'll see. You got to get at least 5 yet, and then we can talk. Don't take my word for it. I will see you next time. Godspeed.